you said it was in the courthouse a long time ago.
Yeah, that's why I gave you the paperwork.
Yeah.
A voice from above. Good to go?
Put your mics on.
What?
Number 4.
It's the first I've heard of anything. What? Oh, okay. Well, we'll figure it out.
I'll cut it over and.
Good evening, everyone. This is the Planning Commission meeting for Thursday, October 24th. It's 6 o'clock. We'll get started. If you'd please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you, everyone, and thanks for being here. We'll do a quick roll call. District 1, Jason Wienerman. Here. District 2, Dave Bent-Rude.
Here.
District 3, Jason Crone.
Here.
I represent District 4. I'm Sean Blackburn, and I am the chair. District 5, Jacob Hook.
Present.
At-large member Rich Blankish.
Here.
And ex officio Joe Persky.
Here.
Thank you. We'll jump right into agenda item number 1. Number 1 is an application to consider a rezoning request submitted by Brian Buerman of Richmond, Minnesota, on behalf of Elizabeth L. Buerman Trust of Richmond, Minnesota, according to Section 4.10 of Stearns County Land Use and Zoning Ordinance 439, to rezone approximately 7 acres from the Ag 40 Residential 5 and Residential 1 zoning districts to the Residential 1 zoning district. The property is part of Government Lot 2 south of Big Lake Road in Section 28 of Munson Township. The property address is 2114 I don't know how many ones there are. I can't. Oh, yeah. 111 looks like to me.
333.
Big Lake Road of Richmond, Minnesota. We'll do a quick review of the item.
All right,
Please.
so this is a rezoning request for approximately 7 acres. It has a mix of zoning right now, A40, R5, and R1, and they would like to rezone it all to residential 1 for the purpose of residential development. Currently is a campground, a licensed campground out there right now. Property has access to Big Lake Road, which is a township road. Part of the 7 acres is farmland, the remaining parts, all the campground. There's no setback impacts with the proposed rezoning. There's approximately 90 homes and no feedlots within a half mile of the property. It's surrounded by rural residential lots, shoreline residential lots, and agricultural land. It's within the Shoreline Overlay District of Big Lake, which is a recreational development lake. With the rezoning, based on lot size requirements for being on the lake, they could have potentially 5 residential lots on this portion of the property if the rezoning is approved. And Munson Township did recommend approval of the rezoning.
Alrighty, thank you. We'll do a quick roll call of members who visited the site. Jason?
I did not.
David?
Yes, I did.
Jason?
Yeah.
I did. Jake?
Yes.
Rich?
Yeah, I did.
And Joe?
Yep.
Alrighty, thank you. Are the applicants here? Please come up and have a seat at the applicants. And introduce yourself for us, please.
I'm Brian Bierman, and I am here on behalf of Elizabeth Bierman.
And I'm Mark Bierman, also on behalf of Elizabeth Bierman and the Elizabeth Bierman Trust.
All right, thank you. Was there anything that you wanted to add?
I don't have anything.
No, I just, our parents had set that up, originally and wanted to divide it into 5 lots for each of the 5 children.
All righty. Commission members, do you have any questions for the applicants?
Question for staff. What is the water quality status of Big Lake? Do we know?
That I'm not sure on, whether it's impaired or not. That I am not sure on that
You can,
status.
Mr. Chair, you can verify, but I would put a high wager it's considered an impaired body. It basically is kind of part of the Sauk River Chain of Lakes flowage upstream from the Sauk River Chain of Lakes.
Thank you, Jason. Anyone else? Questions?
Mr. Chair?
Please.
You know, I think it's a good plan as far as moving forward and dividing the property up. Just as this piece is being first developed and just looking at the hillside there, dividing it up into 5 sections, I would be concerned of the density and vegetation removal. I don't know if you've looked at all about those trees on the hillside, and of course the homes are going to be up above on the high side, correct?
Yep.
And then you've got that point coming down. I don't know, you know, dividing that up. Have you come up with a plan as far as how that's going to actually look when you split it up?
We haven't done that yet, but I was in contact with the county initially to find out if there was still possibly enough room for 5 lots.
Yeah.
And, you know, not with going in and getting it surveyed and all of that, I believe that it was talked about that it looked like there was enough room for 5 lots. You know, obviously there's going to be some things that have to be done when we get to that point. And now we're just looking at rezoning it to R1. And as long as our mother is with us, we're not going to do anything. It's basically more for the future that we would like to do that. And then we'll have to obviously get more into it and find out where they can be, the houses, and what we have to do.
Okay. Yeah, just wondering, you know, if there's going to be a room for, you know, 5 residents on that property, and then again, what will the disruption of that shore, that hillside be? So we'd like to minimize the impact, of course, to the lake, as it is already impaired. But
Yep.
I wish you good luck. I come from a family of 7, and those things become challenging at times. So good
Yes.
luck with that.
Yes, thank you.
Anything more, anyone? All right, well, this is a public hearing. If there's anyone here who wishes to speak on this matter, please come forward. Do we have any correspondence?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we did get 2 letters that were emailed to you guys yesterday, both in support of the request, one from Bill and Sandy Hahn, and one from James Reichert, both supporting the request.
All right, thank you. With that,
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion, we close the public hearing.
thank you. I have a motion to close. I'm looking for a second.
I'll second.
And a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Any further discussion, anyone? Should we just move on to the findings of fact? All right, then. Is the proposal consistent with the zoning ordinance? Why or why not?
Mr. Chair, it is compliant with the zoning ordinance 439, section 4.10.1.
Thank you, Rich. Does the proposal conform to the comprehensive plan of the county? And please list applicable sections.
Mr. Chair, I believe it does, under the living goals, living goal number 2, which is manage the impacts of growth and development on the county's rural character and natural resources, and also goal number 3, which is support housing options that give people in all stages and all economic means viable choices for safe, stable, and affordable homes.
Thank you, Jason.
Mr. Chair, I would say it does not. Under the nature goals, nature goal number 1, which is preserve, restore, and protect important natural systems and natural resources, and water resource policies. Number 2, which is recognize the relationship between land use and water quality and continue to support water quality improvement through land use regulations. And number 3, preserve watershed functions for high quality surface waters and recreation areas and provide for restoration of watershed function for impaired waters.
Thank you, Jason. Two good arguments for both sides. Is the proposal compatible with the existing neighborhood? Why or why not?
I believe it is. We're talking a few additional homes or cabins along a stretch of shoreline that has a lot of existing homes and cabins.
Thank you, Jason. How has the applicant demonstrated that standards and criteria stated in the ordinance will be satisfied?
Mr. Chair, at the moment, this is just a request for rezoning. So there is not anything actually going to happen for the land, but coming down the road when it's platted, we will know more about the impacts to the land.
Certainly, yes. Thank you. Are there other issues pertinent to the matter?
Mr. Chair, as Commissioner Persky pointed out, this is one of the few remaining blocks on Big Lake that is fairly intact. There is potentially chopping this up into 5 different parcels, which will eliminate this and potentially make improving the water quality in the lake that much more difficult.
Thank you, Jason. Anyone else? Anything pertinent to this matter? Or was it mentioned that it was approved by Richmond? Did I get that right?
Munson Township, yeah.
Sorry, thank you. Thank you. All right, with that,
Mr. Chair, I'd make a recommendation that we approve the request for rezoning.
I'll second.
thank you. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. That was Jason Wienerman. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move on to agenda item number 2. This is an application to consider a rezoning request submitted by Ryan Cuff of St. Cloud, Minnesota, on behalf of William and Teresa Dahl of Richmond, Minnesota, according to sections 4.10 of Stearns County Land Use and Zoning Ordinance 439, to rezone approximately 45.6 acres from the Ag 40 zoning district to the R10 Residential 10 zoning district. The property is part of the northwest quarter, southwest quarter, and part of Government Lot 1 north of Edgeton Road and southeast of Elmway Road in Section 35 of Munson Township. Heidi?
Okay, so this rezoning request is for 45.6 acres to rezone from agriculture 40 to residential 10 for the purpose of residential development. Property has access to Elmway Road and Edgeton Road, which are both township roads. Property consists of farmland, woodland, and has a few accessory structures already. There's no setback impacts with the proposed rezoning. There's approximately 61 homes and 2 feedlots within a half mile of the property, and a mix of rural residential lots, shoreline residential lots, and ag land surrounding the property. Surrounding zoning is agriculture 40, residential 5, and residential 1. And this is within the shoreline overlay district of Horseshoe Lake, which is a recreational development lake. By rezoning this, they would be allowed a base density of 4 residential dwelling units. The land evaluation site assessment score was 65.21, which is just above the non-agricultural conversion of 65. Munson Township did recommend approval of this request too.
All righty, thank you. Quick roll call of members who visited the site. Jason Wienerman,
I did not.
David Bentrud.
Yes.
Thank you. Jason Crone.
Yes.
Thank you. I did. Jake.
I did.
Thank you. Rich.
I did.
Thank you. And Joe.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you all. Are there applicants here for this file? Please come up and have a seat and introduce yourself.
I'm Michael Dahl, one of the co-owners of the property.
I'm Bill Dahl, another co-owner.
Ryan Cuff, son-in-law.
All righty. Thank you.
So family.
Her family.
Do we want addresses?
Yes, please give us some addresses, gentlemen.
I'm at 21294 Elmway Road, Richmond.
Thank you.
I'm at 21298 Elmway Road, next
Thank
to him.
you.
424 32nd Avenue, North St. Cloud.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anything you want to add at this point?
No. Basically, I'm just going to address some of the two letters that you got.
I guess I just want to address the intent here is it's not so much it makes it sound like we're going to be developing this property, and we're basically looking at the future. We co-own it right now. It would be a headache for our children if we'd leave this earth and leave it to them that way. So we'd like to split it. We each own our own half. Ironically, we bought it originally to build our sheds for our toys on it and keep it from being developed. So that's it's not our intent to develop it like it almost sounds, I guess.
All righty. Commission members, questions for applicants or staff?
Mr. Chair, just a quick question, well, a question for the applicants. So there's a fairly sizable farm field on here. What's your vision? Are you thinking about abandoning the farm field or converting it, or do you have any future vision?
We intend to keep it under agricultural. Most of it's being tilled right now. We share crop it with Joe Willenbring.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Nothing more? There was correspondence was mentioned. Can you give us the gist of that?
Yeah, I received two letters. The first one from Jody Bandmer, opposed to the request. They're concerned with Elmway Road being very busy already, very crowded, visually challenged area to bring in new growth. And then she also talks about Crohn's Bay being very busy during the summer and concerned with additional watercraft in that area. And then the second one is from the Janet H. Fleming Family Trust. They're also concerned with the impacts to the nutrient load to Horseshoe Lake with the development, and then runoff from lawns, additional driveways, and septic system will adversely affect the water quality of Horseshoe Lake. Those are the two that I received.
All right, thank you. Anything more? Anyone?
I actually have a response to those concerns. Some of it might be a little repetitious after Mike here. Our request submitted is to split 45.6 acres as it's a partnership I have with my brother. We're aging, so we want to make things simpler to pass to the next generation. With my half, I want to partition 2.5 acres on the south end that is on Edgerton Road. This would not be a lakeshore home and is barely inside the 1,000-foot setback. It won't be on Elmway Road, so concerns from our two neighbors are not affected by the new home my daughter and son-in-law will have. We have one building credit right now on the current plat and are asking that the new north 22 acres keep a building credit and add one building credit for the 2.5 acres on Edgerton Road, and of course rezone the three plats to R10. I'm sorry. There's currently no plan to build on the north 22 acres, but we are requesting one site allowance on my brother's half for fairness. We are applying for R10 because much of my family's 400 acres that wraps around Crohn's Bay as R10. So it makes sense to have the same adjoining properties being R10. My brother and I are shareholders in that 400 acres and have always ignored its value for development. So folks like our two concerned neighbors can enjoy the nature in Crohn's Bay. We share concerns about the overload of boats, and personally I fought the addition to Cozy Corners. So some of you may actually remember me from those contentious meetings. That's why I recognized you in the truck. Anyway, our neighbor is right about the overload of the boats on the bay, and I know a great percentage come from Cozy's. As for the one neighbor's concerns about the Dolls putting up signs on Elmway Road, we did put up a private drive and no trespassing signs because we find folks like them on our property way too often. The signs we added that say slow down, children and pets at play have helped as cars used to speed through very fast and have noticeably slowed due to our signs. And I'm sorry, I own property on two sides of a road, so I have to cross it frequently. Please approve this request as it cleans up future ownership to transition to the next generation and helps my grandchildren get out of the crowding and crime of St. Cloud.
All right. Was there anything more from anyone? I have a question now about the things that he mentioned about building. Can you square? We can't change anything as to how many buildings where or.
As far as the building entitlements?
Mm-hmm.
Correct. They do have other land that's zoned residential, so they wouldn't be able to transfer building entitlements from that land to this land because you can't transfer from residential district to an ag district. So that's not an option, so it does come down to rezoning being really the only available option for more density on this parcel.
All righty. Thank you. Motion to close.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion. We close the public hearing.
And a second.
I'll second that.
I have a motion to close and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Any further discussion at all? We'll jump into the findings of facts then.
Mr. Chair?
Joe?
I want to get an understanding then of what we're doing then. So we're taking this, going to rezone it to R10. That would give the possibility of then it being split up into 4 parcels. But then what's with the 1 2.5 acre parcel?
Well, it would give the property 4 residential building entitlements for them to split however they want. So
if it gets split to 15 acres, the other one could be smaller.
right, yep. So they could do a 2-acre lot.
You wouldn't need a minimum
of 10. Correct. Okay. Right. Yep. The minimum it would be 1 acre. And then we would just deal with restricting other land if it needs to be to account for the building entitlement on that parcel, but that's not a minimum lot size.
Okay. Do you have a site selected for that 2.5 acre?
Yes. The farthest south part of it, right on, that's Edgerton Road on the bottom of the map there.
Oh.
That right at that point where there's a little bit of woods in the far left corner. The house will be right next to that.
All right.
And I'm guessing around 2.5 acres. And I'm going to keep a little strip along that swamp on the right though, so that in case Joe needs access with his machinery there, we don't have to bother these guys. So.
All righty. We'll move on then with the findings of fact. Is the proposal consistent with the zoning ordinance? Why or why not?
Mr. Chair, it is compliant with zoning ordinance 439 under section 4.10.1.
Thank you, Rich. Does the proposal conform to the comprehensive plan of the county? Please list applicable sections.
Mr. Chair, I would say that it does, specifically living goals, item number
3, support housing options that give people in all life stages and of all economic means viable choices for safe, stable, and affordable homes.
Thank you, Dave.
Mr. Chair, so things for the applicants to consider. Under our living goals, under the agricultural residential use policies, we do have a statement that residential uses in ag areas must embrace the comp plan future land use factors to minimize conflicts between adjacent land uses and natural resources. And also, future density in the ag area should consider conservation subdivision techniques. So just as you're developing things in the future, just work to seek to minimize conflicts and be as conservation oriented as possible.
Thank you, Jason. Is the proposal compatible with the existing neighborhood? Why or why not?
Go ahead, Jason.
Mr. Chair, Jason Raymond, I believe it is. The surrounding area is largely residentially developed. There is cropland in the middle and to the right that they intend to keep. So we're going to see some additional development potentially, but it's not going to be terribly significant.
Thank you, Jason.
Mr. Chair, I'd also add too that I respect the concerns of the residents on Elmwood Road. It does look pretty dense in there, but I don't believe this project is necessarily going to exacerbate that. It's not on the water. It's set back from that. And as far as the excess boats, I don't see this development contributing to that.
Thank you, Dave.
I would like to respond to what Dave's talking about. You see, I have no problem with this going to an R10 and keeping these things as R10. What would bother me is something that we did last year looking at the development of Chelsea. And that's exactly what those folks don't want to see happening. Okay, is the increase of traffic, but also the impact that would have on the lake. So by all means, the 10-acre parcels and even that one coming off the main road is a decent fit. But you can see the potential that somebody that would want to put small plots on the opposite side of that road would, really be detrimental again to that lake, and of course increase the traffic tremendously. So
certainly.
But I'm fine with the R10.
Thank you, Joe. How has the applicant demonstrated that standards and criteria stated in the ordinance will be satisfied?
Mr. Chair, they've done quite a bit of planning on this. I think it's noteworthy that they own property, a fair amount of property to the west of that, and this is just being developed in a similar manner, or zoned, I should say, in a similar manner to what they already have had for a few generations around that end of the bay.
Right, thank you.
And Mr. Chair, if I can build on that, they're asking for an R10. As Commissioner Persky indicated, they could have gone for R1.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say they are being conservative in their request. That would largely meet the intent of our ordinance and standards.
I agree. Are there other issues pertinent to this matter?
Township approval.
Thank you, Jason. All right, then, I'm looking for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would recommend we approve the rezoning request.
And I will second that.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you.
Do you guys know, do you remember, did you guys initially buy that from my great uncle from Eugene?
No, this was purchased from Vance Varner.
Vance Varner. He must have been it. Okay. Okay, got it. If you go back far enough in Crohn's Bay, well, he's straight north. At one point when they first they had the whole bay, and then they sold the south side off, and it was earlier in I think the 20s or something like that, if I remember right. It was a long time ago, but good luck.
I didn't know that.
Thank you.
Good luck with it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, moving on to item number 3. Number 3 is to consider a conditional use permit request submitted by Kurt and Rebecca Feldward of Melrose, Minnesota, according to sections 4.8, 6.7, and 9.2.5 of Stearns County Land Use and Zoning Ordinance 439. The request is to expand an agriculturally oriented business in the Ag 80 zoning district. The property is in part of the east half northwest quarter and part of the west half northeast quarter, lying west of County Road 12 in Section 31 of Oak Township. The property address is 32755 of County Road 12 in Melrose.
All right. So this is to expand an agriculturally oriented business. The business hauls manure, grain, dairy, feed products, livestock, etc. The specific request is a 50 by 66 foot addition onto their existing building. Property zoned agriculture 80. It's not within any overlay districts or areas of concern. Existing access is County Road 12. No wetland concerns. Impervious lot coverage is met. The performance standards are all met. They will need to meet the accessibility code with the addition. All setbacks are met. There's 8 homes and 2 feedlots within a half mile of the property. All the surrounding zoning is agriculture 80. Proposed conditions. 1, accessibility. The accessibility portion of the state building code is required to be met. Number 2, signage. 1 sign meeting the sign standards of Ordinance 439 is allowed as visible from the road. Outdoor storage and screening. If outdoor storage is added, it shall be located to the side or rear of the structure and screened per Ordinance 439. And then Planning Commission should discuss whether days and hours of operation should be set. And that's all that I have.
Thank you. Thank you. Please introduce yourself, name and address.
Hi, I'm Becky Feldward. Address is 32493 County Road 12, Melrose.
Thank you. Anything you wish to add at this point?
No.
Okay. Commission members, questions for staff or the applicant at all?
So this is a conditional use permit to expand. Was there an additional CUP issued for this to establish?
I believe this was a pre-ordinance use.
So that would be why there's no time and
Right.
hours.
Right.
Okay, thank you. So follow-up question for the applicant. Do you have expectations of time and hours?
Time and hours of operation?
Yeah.
Kind of 24/7. I mean, we would possibly have trucks come in and out of the yard.
Okay, thank you.
But we don't have hours of operation where we would have customers come in and out.
Okay.
Anything more, anyone? Nothing?
Mr. Chair?
Please.
With the expansion, there's some sheds right next to where the expansion is going to happen, I believe, on the west side of it. Are those going to be coming down?
The large shed that's off of our property, or the small shed next
The small
to the
shed to the, right here.
Sorry, I wasn't looking. Right now, it's not a plan to take it down, but it could possibly come down. It's a very, very old car shed.
Okay,
It's
and
open on both sides.
Right, I just was curious as if that was going to be removed. And then you have fuel tanks there as well?
There is one fuel tank next to the.
Okay, and I would hope that that's up to code and standards?
So yes.
Yes, okay. Good answer. So I would hope, and we'll check on that?
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. I forgot, quick review here. Let's go through members who visited the site. Jason Wienerman,
No.
Dave Bentrud,
Yes.
Jason Krohn.
No.
I did. Jacob Hope,
Yes.
Rich Blinkish,
Yes, I did.
and Joe Persky.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Any more questions, comments, anything from the public? Anyone here wish to speak on this matter? Nothing. I look for a motion then.
I'll make a motion, we close the public hearing.
And I'll second.
A motion to close has been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Public hearing is closed. Further discussion of any kind? We will move right on then. Is the proposal consistent with the zoning ordinance? Why or why not?
Mr. Chair, Jason Wienerman, I do believe it is consistent with the ordinance of sections 4.8, 6.7, and 9.2.5.
Thank you. Does the proposal conform to the comprehensive plan of the county? List applicable sections, please.
Mr. Chair, I believe it does. A variety of business goals, but I'll pick specifically rural business policy number 2, which is rural businesses in the ag areas should utilize their property's existing infrastructure and buildings, which is being done here.
Thank you. Is the proposal compatible with the existing neighborhood? Why or why not?
Mr. Chair, I believe it is. This is an extension on an existing building, so we're not constructing anything significantly new. We're just expanding what's there already.
Agreed. Thank you. How has the applicant demonstrated that standards and criteria stated in the ordinance will be satisfied? I think the fact that she's here going through this process speaks for itself.
Mr. Chair, there's also some conditions that would apply to that as well. So.
Right, right. 4 conditions, is that right?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, and actually, we're going to go 3 because, and we'll get to that point. I don't know that hours of operation need to be set in this particular instance.
Okay. All righty. Then motion.
We didn't quite hit 5, Mr. Chair, but I didn't see, was there township approval on this or input on this or not?
I did not receive anything from the
Okay.
township for this
Okay.
one.
But either way.
Anything else? Any other pertinent information?
Not that I see, so then I will go ahead and make a I'll make a motion, we recommend approval.
Thank you,
with
Jason.
3 proposed conditions, or conditions excluding the hours of operation.
I'll second that.
So just to clarify, we're scratching number 4 off of the recommended conditions,
Yep.
correct?
Yes.
Yes. Just to be clear.
If
There is a
manure has to
motion.
be hauled, it has to be hauled.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Moving on. Number 4 this evening. Excuse me one moment. Thank you. Thank you. Agenda item number 4 is to consider a conditional use permit request submitted by Ross Tam of Albany, Minnesota. According to sections 4.8, 6.34, and 9.3.5 of Stearns County Land Use and Zoning Ordinance 439. The request is to operate a dog grooming and boarding facility, a commercial kennel, in the Ag 40 zoning district. The property is in part of the southwest quarter lying east of County Road 41 in Section 27 of Albany Township. The property address is 33052 of County Road 41 in Albany. Review the item, please.
Okay, so commercial kennel for dog grooming and boarding, so no breeding with this one. This is going to be located in an existing barn on the property that they're remodeling for this use. Property zoned agriculture 40. It's not within any overlay districts or areas of concern. Access is existing and is from County Road 41. There's no wetland impacts. Impervious lot coverage is met. The performance standards for commercial boarding kennels is met. They're planning on having 18 large breed and 10 small breed kennels. And then they've got their plan with the vet service in the event of any deceased animals. The accessibility code is required to be met for the business. They're going to install, or they have installed a holding tank for the wash water from the barn, which will need a permit, so that's one of the proposed conditions. All other performance standards are listed in the staff report and are right from the ordinance. Those will all need to be met as they move forward. There's 14 homes and 3 feedlots within a half-mile of the property, surrounded by tillable farmland, rural residential zoning. Let's see. Proposed conditions, accessibility. The accessibility portion of the state building code is required to be met, and the accessibility certificate shall be returned to the county by February 1st of 2025. One sign meeting the sign standards of ordinance 439 is allowed. And after the fact, septic permits required for the holding tank that was installed for the wash water, and that shall be obtained by February 1st, 2025. And then all standards of section 6.34 shall be met, and a commercial kennel license from the department shall be obtained annually.
Thank you. Quick roll call. Members who visited the site: Jason Wiederman,
I did not.
Dave Bentroot,
Yes.
Jason Crone.
Yes.
I did. Jacob Holt.
I did.
Thank you. Rich Blankish.
I did.
And Joe Persky.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Is there anything you wish to add at this point?
Just that my dad is on Zoom. I don't know if he's still on mute
Yep.
or not.
Okay.
Ross is online. Looks like he's still muted. I don't know if that was him or us that muted him.
Okay. Does he have anything to add?
I'm here right now, and no, I do not have anything to add.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions, Commission, for staff?
Not necessarily a question, but this does feel a great need. I mean, I have a dog that goes to the vet for her boarding, and let me tell you, German Shepherds do not like that. So I think a different setting would be needed for a lot of the residents of the area of Stearns County that I live in. I'm in the Sauk Center area, and there's kind of a lack of things in the area. So this fills a need, obviously, if properly conditioned, and it does fill a great need. So I appreciate this coming before us on a personal level.
Thank you, Jake. Anything more from anyone?
Question for staff, just kind of an interest question. So they're close to the road, and there's a property west of the road. Has anyone ever proposed screening of these sites?
Not that I'm aware for kennels. Okay. It's been quite a while since we've had a kennel application. We haven't had a lot.
Okay.
But no, I don't, not that I recall.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, just actually one more kind of in the spirit of Jason's question, but different. When we're looking at performance standards, it mentions species, and I'm just curious, what's the granularity that we get into when it comes to species? Is like large breed, does that suffice? And what's the purpose of knowing that? Do you have any idea?
I think a lot of these standards came from the state. I don't know if it's statute or if Shelley knows.
You know, I mean, if we're talking species, we're not talking breeds.
Right.
I think,
Yeah, well, so it'd be even canines. I mean,
It would be dogs and
There's-
like
Chair.
horses and cats.
canines, yeah. If that's the level, I'm just kind of curious.
Mr. Chair, I believe the original intent was to talk about the size of kennels and appropriateness. So larger breeds need bigger kennels, smaller breeds don't need the same size. And you'll see that at various kennels, depending on where you go, that they'll separate them into different areas for that purpose. You know, putting my Chihuahuas in with a Great Dane, you'll lose my dogs, so.
Right.
I don't know, those little ones are pretty fierce.
Oh, no, she's loud, just.
But, okay, thank you, Shelley. And just so,
Heard.
and that's coming from a state.
I believe there was
recommend-
originally some standards that the state had related to kennels and boarding, and there was a lot of interest in this probably about 15 years ago. And everybody was,
All up
what
in
should
our-
we do and how should we do this? And making sure we had, the dogs could come in and entrances in and out and cleaning, and there were a lot of standards and it was a bigger issue.
Sure.
So, I mean, I guess building on that, are we actually talking breeds or are we talking species?
I think they mean breeds.
that would be useful for clarification.
I think they mean breeds.
Because that becomes very different. That's a very different standard.
Yes, yes. It should be breeds, I would believe.
I now I have a question then about, are there different local standards that might apply?
Well, I believe these are the local
Yeah.
standards that we've adopted.
Okay.
So,
And the staff report is right out of our ordinance.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
So then let me ask, so that discussion leads up to the question for the applicant. It talks about 18 large breed and 10 small breeds are proposed. Will your proposal have the capacity to separate those?
Yes, I will have a separate room for the small dogs, so that the 10 are going to be in a completely different back part of the barn, which will have a separate door to that area, and then the large breed will be in a different area. All those kennels will all be large, have their own. They can't get out or anything like that. So yeah, they're going to be separated for that purpose, that the small ones and the large ones do not intermix.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Anything more? Any correspondence?
No correspondence on
Anyone
this
here
one.
wish to speak on this matter?
Mr. Chair, I just have a question about the use of the kennel. Obviously, it's not the best use to take a large dog and put him in the small kennel, but are you permitted to put the smaller dogs in the large kennels with the area where the large dogs are?
I'm not sure on the permitted part of that. This is the first for me, so I don't know what that where that would all come from or.
Okay, I mean, I'd have no objection to that as long as it works okay. But the other way around probably is not the best for the dogs. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, in relation, I imagine the latter part of that statement, unless they're compatible. So, if you have a Malamute and a Shih Tzu who have been living together for 15 years in the same house, they're compatible.
They would probably be compatible.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I have a lab and I have a little griffin that they're in the same house right now and they're best friends. So
Yep.
yeah, I would say that they're compatible. So if somebody would bring, a client would come over and they would have a Great Dane and a Shih Tzu and they're from the same family and they say it's okay to go put them together, then we probably would. But if they don't, then there's separate rooms for all that.
All right. Thank you. Anything
Just-
more?
No, I was just going to make a motion close the public hearing.
There's been a motion made.
Second.
And a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Public hearing is closed. Any further discussion? Peanut gallery? We will go with the findings of fact. Is the proposal consistent with the zoning ordinance? Why or why not?
It is compliant with the zoning ordinance 439, section 4.8, 6.34, and 9.3.5.
Thank you, Rich. Does the proposal conform to the comprehensive plan of the county? Please list applicable sections.
Mr. Chair, I'm going to go with a variety of business goals again. In this case, my favorite is rural business policy number 1, which is rural business should not alter the rural character of the neighborhood and should not create negative impacts on public health, safety, and general welfare of adjacent property owners. This is going to be inside an existing barn, and I think it handles that issue well.
Thank you. Thank you. Is the proposal compatible with the existing neighborhood? Why or why not? I don't think it really changes much.
Yeah.
I think it fits right in. How has the applicant demonstrated that standards and criteria stated in the ordinance will be satisfied?
Mr. Chair, if the recommended motion includes the 5 conditions, they will be satisfied.
Thank you. Any other pertinent information to this matter?
I think in addition, it's worth commenting, in addition, there are, to me, my opinion, but excessive amount of standards that apply when you include state and county, which I get how we just built off the state, but this is a dog kennel, for crying out loud. My gosh. Building a hospital.
Will be followed.
So, okay, anyway, it's just a lot. I was surprised. I learned a lot about this boarding thing.
Frankly, I feel better.
I will not be opening a dog kennel if they're all those rooms.
That's my
Alrighty then.
concern.
Motion, please.
I will make a motion. We recommend approval with the 6 conditions.
I'll second that.
6 conditions?
5.
I'm seeing,
Are you adding one?
5.
I was seeing,
5 conditions.
5 conditions.
We haven't said-
Rich, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maggie will be very much excited to meet you.
Awesome. We're excited for her too.
It's a great fit.
Good luck with it.
Thank you.
That really is a need, though. Like, there's nobody.
There's a huge need.
I think it's perfect.
Question for staff. Does the state make visits to check out compliance as far as their standards?
No, we do site visit.
And are we obligated for
Based on our they get a license from us, then when we do an annual review.
So will they get an annual visit then?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Dog kennels were a big issue, I want to say about 15 to 20 years ago when I was in Benton County and over here as well. So I remember this one. There was one in Linden Township that was hot and heavy and created a lot of standards. Let's just go with that.
Okay.
Sure. That's why that list is so long.
Did a little bow wow get bitten by a big one or something?
It was related to how the owner was housing the animals, where they were, was a manufactured home appropriate for a kennel, all kinds of things.
Yeah, okay.
So it was conditions of the dogs, making sure it was safe, appropriate. So it ended up being very, very complicated.
All righty.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 5. This is to consider revoking a conditional use permit, number 2007-36, 2007-53, and P001090 for property owned by Mark Engler of Painesville, Minnesota, according to sections 4.8.8, 6.50, and 9.3.5 of Stearns County Land Use and Zoning Ordinance 439. Revocation is being sought due to permit violations for a recycling center. The property is in part of the southwest quarter, northwest quarter, and part of the northwest quarter, southwest quarter of Section 23, lying west of 330th Avenue, Spring Hill Township. The property address is 28403 330th Avenue in Painesville. Take it away, please.
Good evening, Planning Commission members. This item was before you back in April to consider revoking their conditional use permit. And at that time, the Planning Commission voted, and subsequently the board voted to make a finding that a violation does exist, but give the property owner additional time to come into compliance. And so the request was to bring it back in October, so that's why we're here today. And then secondly, provide receipts. The Planning Commission asked the applicant or the property owner to provide receipts showing evidence of the quantity of materials removed, where it was brought. So that's the background. So over the last 6 months, the landowners have made even more improvement to the property and have provided numerous receipts, which I have all, they've provided the receipts along with a nice spreadsheet. So that details quantities that have been removed and where items were taken. And at this time, so they've complied with the violations that were existing back in April, other than the provision in the ordinance that says the facility shall comply with all local, state, and federal laws. They're not currently in compliance with their state permits. And so the MPCA has issued an administrative order, and actually they obtained a court order in August to ensure that they keep moving, that the applicant keeps moving forward and coming into compliance with their state permits. So that's the county standard that is not currently being met, is that they be in compliance with their state permits. So what we are suggesting, I guess what your options would be tonight would be to make a finding that a violation does still exist and recommend the permit be revoked. Or as an alternative, and what we would recommend is to make a finding a violation does still exist, but recommend that they be given additional time to come into compliance with that state permit. So our suggestion would be the public hearing be scheduled no later than October of next year. So basically giving them another year to finish coming into compliance with their state permit. And then a public hearing may be held sooner if determined by environmental services. For example, if they're compliant sooner, or if things go south and getting out of hand again, we could come back sooner. So that's all I have. There was a lot of pictures included to show the progress they've made. If you went out there, you saw that as well. So, I mean, overall, we're very happy with the progress that's been made.
All right, thank you. Quick roll call, members who visited the site. Jason Wienerman.
I was there last time, but not recently.
Thank you. Dave?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes, I was.
I was. Jake?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes, I was.
And Joe?
Yes.
All righty. Applicant introductions, please.
I am Jessica Paul. Mark is my father. I feel like I've been working pretty more efficient and diligently to make sure this is cleaned up and staying clean, and tracking our progress as we go.
And we're also going to keep moving forward even beyond the recommendations of the EPA. We're going to still keep cleaning and fixing up the property.
Okay, just to clear up, your address, please, Jessica.
My address is 155 Highway 4 South, Melrose. It's actually Meyer Grove.
Thank you. And you are?
Mark.
And your address?
28403 330th Avenue, Paynesville.
All righty. Thank you. Anything further? Commission, do we have some questions?
Just real quick, Mr. Chair, and I apologize, missed the April hearing. So just a little bit about the business itself. How long you guys been in operations, and what's your plan for the future?
I think we've been in operation, 25 years, give or take. The future plan is to be just more efficient, hopefully get better new equipment, but with the metal prices the way they've been for quite some time, it's been a roller coaster ride, but we're doing what we can. I'm sorry. And we're going to keep moving forward and do the best job we can do.
Okay, and do you guys do a lot of pickup, or are people generally dropping off?
Mainly a lot of pickup.
Okay.
Yeah, we pick up quite a few appliances.
Okay, all right. And then the last question I have, I think it's the last question. When this initially came up, how did the violation or how was it discovered, I guess, that we were maybe out of compliance?
Right, I would say kind of back in the COVID period, we've got so far behind. I mean, people with a lot of issues and stuff, and we just got overwhelmed and get caught up again. I mean, it's hard to find good help, and we just fell behind, and now we're just doing it more efficiently and just doing what we can, we can do, I guess.
And
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I can speak from the county standpoint. We received a complaint, so that's what prompted us
Okay.
to go out and look.
Thank you. Then the last question, how many employees do you have?
1, 2, 3, 4, 4.
4? Okay. All right, cool. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I just must say that the difference is pretty remarkable if you looked at it from last time. So I can agree with what the county staff's assessment is. You've done a really good job, and I hope you keep up with it. So you've done very well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jade.
Mr. Chair, not sure who the question's for. So the MPCA has issued the order doing a reinspection every 90 days, starting in November. Is there an anticipated completion date when that you'll meet the MPCA standards?
We've created a self-deadline of March 2025.
Okay.
So, as staff said, we can, if we give them a year, do you need a year? If we give you till June 30th of 2025?
I would say with the metal prices, I would really appreciate a year.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
that's our living is the metal
Yeah.
prices.
Just want to make sure we're
No,
respectful
I
of your
appreciate that.
desires.
All right.
Mr. Chair, I want to get an understanding about where we're going with this. In that the state is recommending an inspection or an assessment within 90 days. So then are we looking at a completion at 1 year, or are we looking at a visitation and inspection at 1 year? So what I'm hoping to see, first of all, I want to applaud the progress that you've made. Secondly, what you're doing is a very well-needed service in our community. Because if we didn't have folks like you doing that kind of thing, our ditches would be full of a lot of junk, and there would be trash in places we don't want to see that stuff. So I very much appreciate what you're doing and the idea of recycling this stuff. But as far as, is there a way, I don't want to wait a year. And so I'm a little bit confused with the 90 days the state is asking for, and us saying that we're going to wait a year.
Yeah.
So where are we with that?
Mr. Chair, I can maybe help with that. So part of their order from the state is to submit receipts every 90 days showing removal of electronic waste and then also appliances and scrap in certain quantities. So they have certain quantities they have to remove every 90 days and provide receipts. The state actually hasn't been out in quite some time, but they're just using the receipts as the evidence that they're making progress. So at any rate, staff though from the county are myself and then Tim from the HHW area have been going out there every couple of months. Okay. And we certainly can continue that over the next month. Maybe we'll go every 2 to 3 months. And because we're not going to wait a year. We're definitely not going to wait a year. We want to make sure things stay on track. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I'm hoping too. As long as things are moving forward, let's keep it going. But I don't want to wait a year to make that visit.
Yeah.
And so if we're going to make assessments, whether it's every 2 months or every 3 months, if we're going out there making assessments, looking at, out to the microphone again, Persky, that we're getting receipts for the materials that's being removed, that's a very good thing, and I guess that's what I would like to see.
Mr. Chair, just for clarification, the year that we're asking for is a year to make sure they're in compliance with their MPCA permit, because they're in compliance with us now. The only piece that's not is the MPCA permitting. So every 90 days, they have to submit receipts. We're still going to go out and do the inspections to make sure things are good, but we don't know when MPCA will say, oh, now they're good. So that's why we want to give them a year on the time frame, not on inspection purposes, but just on the time frame so that they get their MPCA compliance and we can go, oh, no longer in violation, this goes away.
And then, as staff indicated, should they come into compliance earlier, we can move this up.
Yep, definitely.
Or if you find that things have catastrophically gone wrong, we can also move it up. So this is just the backstop
Yep.
date. So,
Correct. And that's how the suggested option number 2 is worded.
Question for staff, Mr. Chair. These folks have shown a tremendous amount of good faith, in my view. Could one of the options be that the conditional use permit is approved with the condition that the state permit comes into compliance, so these folks don't have to keep coming back here to get permission to operate?
I guess I would say, so the conditional use permit is still effective unless the planning commission decides to revoke it tonight. So it is still effective and they're operating, so that's good, and they'll be operating over the next year as we just keep monitoring it, I guess.
Yeah. Question, Mr. Chair, just for any commission members, is anyone at this point not in support of our option number 2, which would be to push that finding back? It seems like everyone's in support of that.
I think we're all for that, right? Yes.
In which case, then we can probably
move on.
Yeah, I mean, kind of to Dave's point, we don't have to do a new conditional use. They already have one, so.
We're just deciding not to revoke, and we're giving them a year to come into full compliance.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have findings of fact needed for this.
So we just need to make a motion, right? So I will go ahead and make a motion that we, I gotta figure out how to state this, that we take option number 2, which is. Option number 2, which is postponing, I guess this decision, this finding of compliance until October 23rd of 2025.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Keep up the good progress.
Yes, thank you for what you're doing.
We appreciate that, and just for staff, is there a way that we could know when that's happened? I mean, that your checkups would have taken place? I like to hear good news.
Mr. Chair, we'll do our best to try to provide those updates as those come forward. I know Angie has done that with you on various applications. So as we see progress on them, we will bring them back.
Yeah, and this is really the state.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Updates from the state.
Yeah, that's what we're waiting for.
Okay, yep. The state's been
pretty good.
They've shared with me what they can. They can't always share a lot of when they have an open case, but yeah.
What we got left, some minutes we need to approve. Anyone? August 22 minutes.
September.
Mr. Chair, I will. I was, and I'll make a motion that we recommend approval of the August minutes.
That.
All right, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
do we have a projection for next month?
Other discussion? I know you got to say something over there.
I think Jennifer just said that there may be 5 items for next meeting.
That was it?
That was it.
I
Got
expected more from you.
Cell tower, a billboard, another kennel.
Wow.
He has options now. Look at
Look at
that.
you.
I bet you
She's
it's
gonna be
COVID
pleased.
kennels. It's got to be COVID kennels.
The COVID.
All the COVID dogs.
A new cell tower or?
Yep.
Okay.
South of Kimball. The applications will get posted online maybe tomorrow, otherwise early next week. A cell tower, kennel, billboard by Richmond, a rezoning, and a feedlot item.
Nice variety.
Good diversity.
I like it. Diversify.
All right, motion to adjourn and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Yeah. We're way
I'm not going to make any motion.
Slammed that gavel a while ago.
We don't. Oh, man.